All right, welcome everybody. I'm so glad that you are here. I'm seeing you all come in. I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes to get settled and to find a comfortable seat and to get comfortable and ready for this conversation that we're about to have. And I'm going to start welcoming folks for coming in. So first I want to just say, welcome Belinda. Thank you, Belinda, for being here. Welcome Carmela. Welcome Sharice. Welcome Joy. Welcome Joyce. Welcome Liv. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Like I said, we're just going to give folks a couple minutes to come in, get situated, give folks who show up late a couple seconds to come in, and just find yourself a comfortable spot. So I appreciate you all for being here. We've already got folks chatting us up in the chat. If you want to drop where you're calling in from in the chat, please do that. Hello, Sharice. Thank you for saying hey. All right. I'm going to give folks just another minute. Ms. Carmela's calling in from Gloucester, Mississippi. Thank you, Carmela. We're so glad you're here with us. All right. Belinda's calling in from Gettysburg, North Carolina. Thank you all, friends and family, for being here. Liv is calling in from Chapel Hill. Thank you, Liv, for being here. So we've got Mississippi in the house. We've got North Carolina in the house. Thank you all for being here. All right, I'm going to get started because I don't want to keep us too long here waiting. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so, as I said, I want to welcome and thank you all so much for joining us tonight for our Justice in June Connecting Impacted Communities webinar series. We are so grateful that you are spending this time with us. This month, we are hosting conversations focused on community-led solutions. I invite you all to check out our Justice in June Connecting Impacted Communities event page to learn more. We will gather in this space most Thursday nights in June at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we will keep the conversation going with environmental justice leaders, climate activists, and frontline community members who are eager to share their personal stories with you. You'll hear from those on the ground fighting back against biomass, learn about our regional network of partners pushing for policy change, and together we'll reimagine what a healthy, prosperous economy looks like through land conservation. I'll drop a link in the chat where you can learn more and register as soon as I'm done chatting. And I'm excited to announce that tonight, to demonstrate our appreciation for having you join us this evening, everyone who's on this call will be entered into a drawing to win some very sweet Dogwood swag. So we will notify the winners next week. So keep your eyes peeled for an email to let you know if you're a winner. And finally, I just want to say, if you learned something new today, if you feel moved today, I invite you to please share our recording and event opportunities with others who care about climate justice. As I mentioned, we are recording this session and we plan to share this recording with everyone who's registered. We will make space for a question and answer session at the end. The Q&A is open, so if you have any questions for our hosts, our panelists, please drop them in the Q&A. I will do my best to answer any pressing questions in real time and hold some questions for the Q&A session at the end. The chat is visible only to hosts and panelists for security reasons, but feel free to message us, like I said, and let us know where you're calling in from. We'd love to hear from you. I'll be one of your hosts. My name is Adele Alamo. I'm the digital organizer for Dogwood Alliance, and my pronouns are she, hers. Dogwood Alliance is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and for over 25 years, Dogwood Alliance has fought threats to our forests and frontline communities. We promote forest protection as the best solution to climate change. We partner with communities across the southern US to develop economic solutions that work with and for our forests. Our mission is to advance environmental justice and climate action by mobilizing diverse voices to protect southern forests and communities from industrial logging. We work in 14 states across the Southeast, and our headquarters are in Asheville, North Carolina. A quick word to just explain what is biomass and why are we fighting to stop it. Biomass is sometimes called bioenergy, wood pellets, woody biomass, and more. It's basically when you use living materials such as trees and burn them as an energy source. On an industrial scale, biomass companies cut down our standing natural forests, transport the logs to plants where they are converted into wood pellets, and then they are shipped overseas to places like Europe or Asia. And then our forests are burned in energy plants as an alternative to coal. Some claim that this is a clean, renewable energy source because trees grow back. But biomass is not clean or green, and it actually releases more carbon into the atmosphere than coal does. Biomass plants are routinely located in the US South, specifically in under-resourced, predominantly Black and Indigenous communities. In fact, biomass plants are twice as likely to be located in environmental justice communities. Biomass plants run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Local residents never get a break from the constant noise, dust, heavy truck traffic, and pollution. People living next to pellet plants often have lower life expectancy and poorer health. For all these reasons and more, biomass is an environmental justice issue. But I don't want to focus too much on the science. I want to get to the heart of the issue, and that's the people. So tonight we are joined by those working on the ground to organize and strategize to fight environmental injustices. With that said, I will hand it over to my co-host, our Director of Organizing and Partnership Engagement, Erniko Brown. Erniko is the Soil and Water Commissioner of Greenwood, South Carolina. She is the Environmental and Climate Justice Chair for the South Carolina NAACP State Conference, and she's also the Executive Director and founder of the nonprofit Hours, organized uplifting resources and strategies. With that, I'll hand it over to Erniko. Take it away.
Good evening, everybody. I'm definitely honored to have all of you here with us this evening. This has been something that we've been doing, having conversations with communities about the impacts of biomass. And so we've been building off of this for the last 2 months, and this is our second month coming in, and we want to talk about justice-focused solutions on behalf of communities. So what we've been doing is going around to communities, organizing, doing the work with the communities, and we've been having conversations. And so from those conversations and those community actions that we've done, we thought that it was best to come back and have a community conversation with you all via Zoom. And so this evening, we definitely have the pleasure of having Miss Brandy Hamilton with us. Brandy is a freedom fighter who has been fighting on the ground for the last 17 years in different capacities. Brandy, I have been honored to have Brandy working with me. She came aboard doing work for Dogwood as we started out in Gloucester. And so she's been here with us doing the work, fighting on the front lines with the frontline people, and just being an all-out amazing individual. And so tonight we're going to hear Brandy's perspective of community organizing. She's going to tell her story about her experience and how she started in this work and how she went from canvassing to organizing and went from different targeted demographics to coming in and working in the environmental space. So Brandy, take it away.
Well, hey y'all, thanks for coming. Unfortunately, my video is paused, so I like to see how crazy I look, but can't see it. So anyway, yes, as Nico said, I'm Brandy Alexandria, and I first got involved in the political arena when I was 17 years old. I was in high school, and P. Diddy had a campaign called Vote or Die. And it caught my attention. I was like, vote or die? What? But I remember the shirt, it was red, white, and blue, and there's a match. And I joined this organization. I think it was the Young Democrats. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. But we went out to the hood in my town, and we did voter registration. And I was so upset that I wasn't old enough to vote, like just barely. But I went and registered as many people with my little clipboard in the thick of the hood. It was like a rough neighborhood in Gastonia. But, you know, loving on my people and making sure they knew if they were able, they should vote and how important. And so that was so interesting because I remember meeting people who had felonies on their record and didn't know if they could vote or not, and learning more about how many obstacles are presented to folks who maybe would vote if they are given the knowledge, you know, if they had information. And so at a young age, I realized like, oh, like people don't be out here much, and people don't know the importance of, not many people who look like me knew the importance of voting. So that started the little flame to give me that forward motion into more involvement later in life. And so the first time I ever participated in an environmental cause, like I've been worked for Obama's campaign both times, and different like city council representative or city council folks running for city council or for mayor, different local elections, but never for a cause until 2013. And I led teams for engagement, voter registration, and also to get commitment cards for North Carolina League of Conservation Voters. And so they have, their interests are similar to Dogwood in that they want to protect the planet basically and protect the environment. And they back candidates whose platforms, you know, who also believe in protecting the environment. So that year we were fighting against Duke Energy, I believe it was, and the issue was hydraulic fracturing. They call it fracking for short, where they dig deep under the earth surface for gas. Maybe it wasn't Duke Energy, maybe it was Piedmont Natural Gas. Either way, I was like, wow. I remember like being in DC when I was young, and the folks with what is the organization? Greenpeace. They'd be like, oh, the polar bears are drowning. And you know, that's all I knew about environmental stuff. Like, these white people worried about these polar bears drowning, and I'm sad that the polar bears are drowning, but that's all I knew is the polar bears were drowning. I didn't know about fracking. I definitely didn't know about biomass. I didn't know that these corporations from overseas set up shop in the hood and in Black, you know, mostly Black neighborhoods where people are disenfranchised and are not aware of what's going on, or not familiar with any toxins in the air they breathe. And so when I was involved in North Carolina League of Conservation Voters, that really opened my eyes. Like, we learned that the water coming out of people's taps were like, they could not cook with that water. They definitely couldn't drink it. Farms nearby were reporting that the horse's hair was falling out. Like, people were getting sick at alarming rates. And so then that's when I realized like, oh, we need to pay attention to not just what, you know, the people we're voting for are talking about, but we really need to be we need to familiarize ourselves with like what is going on with the earth, like what these corporations are doing with our earth, because we only get one, right? And so fast forward to last summer, Nico invited me to go out to Gloucester, Mississippi. And oof, that was something else. Like she told me, like, all right, Brand, make sure when we go, like, she prepped me for it. The air is kind of thick, all like have your mask. And I was like, no, I wanna breathe the air that people breathing. So we pull up to this area called Blackman Hole, which is land, it's a mobile home park. And that land is owned by the Blackman family, and not far from the center of town, which maybe doesn't mean much because the town is very, very small. And that air was thick. I could feel it as soon as I stepped out of the car. So I was going to meet the folks to invite them to a community meeting we were having, I believe the next day or 2 days later. And I started coughing like, like I could feel it in my throat. And then I couldn't believe there were elderly folk out there. There's a little baby Journey out there, like breathing this air every day. And I just pull up and I can't breathe in the first couple seconds that I'm inhaling this air. And I could see this massive, huge plant right there, like across the fence. I could not believe it. Like I've seen the pictures, but of course, being there in person, it just took my breath away. No pun intended, right? Or pun intended. Either way, it really took my breath away. And so I just knew it was very important that we got the info out to the folk, the message to the folks that like, this plant ain't no good and you don't have to just take it because you're not rich or not light-skinned. Like Black folk, just because you're poor, whatever the situation is, we don't have to take it. And so yeah, I knocked on all the doors. We knocked on all the doors, talked to everybody who was home and invited them to the meeting. And the meeting was at the library in this room. I don't know what the max capacity was, but but it was packed with folks standing outside. And lots of people, can't remember all the names of everybody who was there or the names of their organizations, but other partners, folks who partner with Dogwood and the NCAA president and some laymen, some city council person, alderman, I think they call it down there, all spoke, and Nico and I spoke, and it just became, that's my dog in the background, sorry, Cairo. It became very clear that the folks, the power, the people in power in that town in Gloucester had not been given those folks information about the Drax plant. And I believe it had been there, how long? 8 years, Nico? Yeah, 8 years. And so when we knocked on the doors, like, hey, are you aware? Like, do you know exactly what the plant is? They're like, yeah, wood chips, wood pellets, but they didn't know that it caused that the toxins can cause so many, or do cause so many health problems. I remember, so rewinding back before the meeting, I remember knocking on this girl, Jasmine's door, and I asked her, hey, are y'all experiencing any health issues? No. I said, okay, so like no breathing issues, like no respiratory stuff, asthma. And she thought about it for a second and said, well, I used to work at my job and I was having problems, breathing, but so I thought it was my job, but then I quit the job and I still got problems breathing. And I said, well, like, you the closest one. Her house was is the closest to the plant. And so anyway, fast forward back to the meeting, lots of folk were there just listening. And it seemed to me that they didn't know that the people got the power and they didn't know where to start, like, which is common when you get to, when you find huge issues in folks who haven't been empowered with the knowledge to even know like what's going on, to even decide what they want done about it. And so anyway, yeah, that was, it's really sad to encounter that, you know, whether it be whatever the issue is, education, police brutality, whatever. And in this case, of course, it's the environment. Like, it just really opened my eyes again to like, it's not a white folk polar bear only thing. And actually, and actually it's, I don't know what I need to do about my dog. Sorry, y'all. Actually, it's, bro, I think if I go get him 1 second, I'm so sorry. It was so loud. Come here, come here. Oh, Mom, something important? Okay, sit down. I forgot what I was saying. Sorry, my dog. What was I saying? I think that about the race thing, I really liked all these years until 2013. And even then, when we were doing fracking, I didn't see like many Black folk who were impacted by the fracking. I didn't personally, but in Gloucester for sure last summer, I was like, whoa, this ain't no, just like white folk think, it's exactly the opposite. Where they're cutting down the trees and where these plants are popping up. Even in North Carolina, like, it's like, whoa, these my people. And I'm concerned with my folk, everybody, but especially my folk. And so, yeah, that was very eye-opening. So yeah, I was supposed to talk about also the importance of community organizing. So it's to make sure that, number one, that the people know they have the power, because any revolution, any huge change, any legislation, like almost always, it starts with the people. Nothing moves or shakes without the people. And so, of course, the people have to be made aware of the problem and then come together collectively to see how you want to solve the problem. And Nico and I, like, Nico has a plant similar in her hometown. I don't, but she's not from Gloucester and I'm not from Gloucester. So, we can have all these ideas of what we think they might need to do, or what they did in Nico's town, or what they did in North Carolina. But folks in Gloucester had to, and are still figuring out what they want done there, because that's where they live. And it was very interesting as we tried to, disseminate information and do a little brainstorming and figure out what folks want done, whether that be for their medical bills to be covered once they are able to go back to their doctors, and connect the dots, like, oh, that smokestack, so these chemicals are coming from that place right there, this Drax, from this biomass plant, and these chemicals cause these illnesses, and I'm experiencing some of these illnesses, so that could be the reason. They still need to decide, if it's that, or if they want to move, or what. So it needs to be always people centric. Never like folks coming in from the outside directing and telling folks who live with the issue on a daily basis what they should do. And yeah, the fine, there was a fine that came before we even were involved. I forget how much money. They had to pay a whole lot of money. So it's clear that Drax, I forget, what's the number, Nico?
$2.5 million.
They had to pay $2.5 million. So clearly, even though the mayor there, I'm gonna get. So yeah, we let the folks know. Had them, we gave them some options, because many of them didn't know like where to start. Many of them were shocked that nobody had told them about all this going on in their backyard, literally their backyard. So we came back a couple months later, after we were so well received and had gone and invited the mayor, gone to City Hall and to the first meeting, packed the whole place, right? People were hyped at the end. I gave them the side of 10, and I'll share it with you at the end. But they were real hyped, right? Came back, crickets. I said, what happened to the people? What happened to the people? Like, nobody's coming to their door. Like, what happened? Everybody at work today? Like, what? What happened to the people? Invited them to another meeting, like, where are the people? And so we found that right after we left, when we had that wonderful turnout the first time I came down there with Nico, the first time we had the community meeting, the mayor had put on Facebook, basically had threatened the town there and said, y'all, they had, first of all, organizing work and something else. Word on the street was that we were lawyers and we were trying to get the folks together to sue Drax. So the mayor had put on Facebook a long post saying, if y'all make Drax leave town, like if you get the mill shut down, then your utility bill will double or triple because Drax pays the city's water bill, whatever foolishness, which was untrue. But a lot of people were scared because given the economics of this town, like there aren't many jobs. A lot of people see Drax as like, well, at least we getting some money, at least we get to work, even though the pay ain't all that great as promised when they first come in, like, oh, high paying jobs. People were scared. So it's very interesting and sad and disheartening to see how the words of their leader, who didn't care enough to even tell what was going on or share about the lawsuit of the $2.5 million they had to pay, this same guy suddenly cares so much and is threatening his folks, his constituency. So that was rough, but it just shows you that, like anything in organizing, you'll have highs and lows, and being on the ground, Tyrell, being on the ground is real work. It's kind of like guerrilla style work sometimes. It's in the second meeting. The mayor got very volatile. That meeting was very volatile, but it's just all part of the work. And no discomfort is too much to bear when the work is about the people and the little baby journey and the dogs, like Miss Camilla Dogs, who passed away, like folks who can't breathe. Like I can't breathe, literally, I can't breathe. And it ain't because no police is stepping on your throat. Like just because you don't open your front door, I can't breathe. And so no matter, the obstacles, no matter the, 10 step forward, 1,000 back, it'll feel like that sometimes. I've found, what is the word? Hope. I guess hope is the word, that somebody gonna catch it and pass it on. Like catch the spark and pass it on to somebody else, and that the folks will be empowered. So work is still going on down there in Gloucester and in Macomb and in Wiggins, to fight these corporations who are not even in America. And that's the other thing. This UK, these folks, they protect their forest. They protect their folks' lungs, their environment. They come over here and wreak havoc over here where our folk are and cut down our trees and then use it for energy, green energy over there. So anyway, I probably was all over the place, but I hope you got something from it. And if you have any questions, I'm here for a little bit longer and I'll answer them as best I can.
Thank you for all that, Brandy. Thank you so much. And yes, that was great. I've dropped some links in there. I just wanted to share that Ms. Carmela was shouting you out, Ms. Belinda was shouting you out, and Lib was shouting you out. So everybody is very moved by your story. So thank you so much for sharing all that. And I think Nico's up next.
Absolutely. And after this, oh, Miss Dana shouted you out too, Brandy.
Thank you, Miss Dana.
So I put a presentation together. I've been doing organizing work for over 15 years. And so I really just talk organizing, but for the sake of this, just having a couple of key things to talk about as it relates to the work that we're doing. And so we're going to talk about organizing the rise. And when you organize the rise, you have to connect the communities to the issues. And so what is organizing? Organizing is a strategy to get social movements, labor unions, underrepresented communities, and marginalized communities to gain rights, win collective political power, and create positive change. And so to Brandy's point, the work that we've been doing out in Gloucester, Mississippi is to do just that. We went there, I went there over a year ago, and no one knew about the things that were going on in the community. And so I asked the question, I took some information. I had a lady, Miss Janet Robinson, went to her community, asked her about it. She said she didn't know anything. I had information. She took that information and she took it around her community because she said that they needed to know. So putting the hands in the power of the people is definitely what we do when we organize. If I can have the next slide, please. And why do we organize? Again, to gain rights, win collective political power, and create positive change. And so through that, starting off with Miss Janie Robinson there in their senior living community, just me going there asking that question, it took her initiative to move the work forward. And so oftentimes we go to communities or we're in communities and we're not really with communities. And I'm saying that what we do is talk to them about the issues or talk at them or not talk with them about the things that are going on. So we already have our own agenda, but that's not the way that organizers should go. Organizers should be to support the community in their decision-making and not what we have on our agenda to check a mark off. Next slide, please. So what's the purpose of an organizer? To create unity and solidarity, and then again, help their community work together to solve problems and reach shared goals. And so we're talking about Gloucester, Mississippi and how we essentially started. I went there, I asked the question, went, talked to several different people. I built rapport with the individuals in the community, and it is definitely a trust factor. And so the shared goals, for me being a person that's in an impacted community here in Greenwood, South Carolina, I identified with them, told them my story, and then we got into how we could support them in doing the work in their community. Next slide, please. And so in organizing, what's important? Relationship building, education, capacity building of community members, leadership development, and community action. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is relationship building. Next slide, please. So what is relationship building? First off, coming into people's community with Miss Janie, she didn't care what I knew until she knew that I cared about her. And so going to her, hey, how you doing? Introducing myself because I'm an outsider and calming that piece of tension within that. And in that, you figure out if you're an ally or if you're an accomplice. An ally will stand there, talk about the situation, and accomplice is going to get in it with you. And so in this work, organizing work, we much rather have, like both are nice to have, but we much rather have an accomplice because an accomplice is going to get their hands dirty. An accomplice is going to do the work with you. An accomplice is going to be there for you when things when things get hard. And so working out in Gloucester, like I said, we've been there for over a year. We're continuing the work because the work is laborious, and you have to be able to stand in the fight with the people who are affected or impacted by what's going on. And in order to build community, you have to be in community with community. So again, it's not like I'm going to them, telling them what to do. I pick up the phone when they call me. I'm out there when they need me. If Miss Kathy Eglin was here, she'll tell you that I know the mama, the grandmama, the baby, the grandbaby. And it's like you're becoming a part of family with individuals in communities. And it's not what you can do for them, but it's what you can do with them that will move the work. And so for me, it's how can you support? What is it that you can render? And essentially for me, it's utilizing my platform here at Dogwood to amplify the information and amplify the issues that are going on in the community. And so I have to be vulnerable in that moment with them, and I have to tell my story. And so telling my story will connect with the people in the communities, and that's how we build rapport with each other. Those are the things that they're going to identify with. What is your story? Why are you here? And so I had to be vulnerable enough to say that, hey, I'm here because I care about you. I live in a community just like yours. I'm impacted the very same way that you are. And I want to render as much support as I can and be in servitude to who you are, where you are in your community. Next slide, please. The next thing is education. People want to know not what you heard, but what you know. They want facts. And when we went to Gloucester, Mississippi, they wanted the pure facts about what it was that they were dealing with, because we're dealing with things that are going on in the South, not just the South, but the deep South. And when you go to people who, and you're an outsider, and they're talking to their people in their community that they've built relationships with over years, and like Brandy was talking about the mayor that's out in Gloucester, Mississippi, this man is on his second term. And it is a very small town with under 1,000 people. So these people knew this person. These people grew up with this person. These people trusted this person. So me being an outsider coming in, I have to be factually based in what I'm saying to individuals in this community. And so our information sharing coming from Dogwood, a lot of our information is scientific. And so what we have to do is take it from that scientific space to that humanistic space, because the impacted communities that we work in are deemed low income, impoverished communities. Most of them have a high school diploma. A lot of them don't have post-secondary education. And so you have to meet them where they are within the language that they can understand. And oftentimes you're talking to individuals who really aren't concerned with what you're talking about, because if you're talking to someone in a low income impoverished community about biomass, they don't care about biomass because they're trying to figure out how to get through the day, how to feed their kids, how to get their bills paid, how to get to work every day. And out in Gloucester, Mississippi, one of the common themes that we heard was a lot of people travel to Baton Rouge to go to work. The median household income in Gloucester is actually about $17,000 a year. And so it is important that when you come and you take time, you're not wasting individuals' time in these communities. Next slide, please. So building capacity of community members. One thing that happened, like Brandy said, information travels fast. Before we got there, they thought that we were lawyers. So they didn't care about who we were and what we were doing, because they had already heard and made up in their mind that we were lawyers and we were coming to do a class action lawsuit. And so what we had to do was communicate with them so that they know that we're not there to do that and we're there for the community. They thought that we were rendering legal support when we were there to raise awareness around the issue of biomass in this community. And we were there, and it was, I think like 2 days later, everybody thought that we were lawyers. And people in the community, a lot of them showed up because they trusted the information that we gave, and they trusted us through those relationships that we had previously built 6 months prior. And then coming in and having people like Brandy and myself talk to them and just really be down home with them and really be people that they could trust and that they could talk to. And what we did was keep the information simple. If you keep the information simple that you want to disseminate, it'll go faster, easier. Next slide, please. And leadership development. Let the community follow you, show the community how to grow, and you let them lead. So it ends up being your organization in support, in servitude to what the community has going on. So you allow the community to lead based off the information that you've given them. Because everything that we do, it starts with community. Any organization out here that is functioning, it starts with community. You have to have, yes, you may have an idea, you may have a target to work with, a targeted demographic, but in order for you to have that targeted demographic, you also have to have a community. So it's like realizing that you have to meet people where they are in doing the work, and understanding that you need them to move the work that you want to do. Next slide, please. And community action. Community action looks different in several, it looks very different in different capacities. You can do canvassing, you can do rallies, you can have cookouts, you can do caravans, and these are different solutions for the individuals in the community. And these are some things that, based off the information that you give individuals in communities, these may be some actions that they want to take as a community to combat the issues that are going on in their respective communities. Next slide, please. And so, just a few things to remember. Number one, you do the organizing, the community does the leading. Your work is in service to the community, and you are to support them in their decision making. There is power in numbers, and those numbers come from the community. You're not saving the community. The community is actually saving you. And the last thing is one that I always say in Dogwood: we have to be humble in our own humility to understand that supporting impacted communities are how we feed our own families. And finally, everyone deserves justice. Thank you. So Adele, you can open it up for the questions.
Well, before I do that, I just want to thank you for all that, because there was basically an organizing 101 for folks who are not familiar with how to get involved in their communities, which is so important because there are so many issues that are coming at us, whether it's gun violence, whether it's suppressing the vote, whether it's, all these things, whether it's biomass, whether it's climate justice, all these things are coming at us. They're coming at us so fast, and really the power does lie in the people, and the power lies in organizing. So I just want to thank you for taking us through that. And I will jump into our questions. And so, there's a couple of questions for us, and so I just want to kind of feel these out. But so there's a question here about, how does Dogwood build awareness surrounding the racial justice component of environmental justice? And I'll let you answer that one, Nico.
Okay. Dogwood is building awareness around that because we have made the conscious, strategic decision to let the communities lead. The communities that we serve are predominantly Black communities. So based off of last year versus this year, we are a lot more diverse. From senior management all the way down to contractors. And I am on senior management as the director of organizing and partnership engagement. And in my capacity, I hold Dogwood accountable for making sure that we have a seat at the table. And so we're doing inner work within Dogwood to make sure that we're meeting the mark, not only inside the organization, but as well as the communities that we serve. And here, I am holding my director, executive director, Dana, accountable for making sure that the communities we serve are the people who are leading the work that we do.
Okay. How are we building power in environmental justice communities? And that question can be for either of you.
Brandy, you can take a stab at it.
Well, organizing, that's how we build power. Yeah, maybe they asked that before we said it, but yeah, bringing information to them, bringing the issues to their awareness, or giving them more info about something that may have been just a little familiar about, and then talking with them about what they want to do about it, and then providing resources so they can do whatever it is that they want to do about it. So just empowering them, reminding them they got the power, and then helping them bring about whatever solution that they're looking.
Cool.
I don't know
And
if
then,
that was deep enough, but like money, helping like get their NAACP running, different stuff, but providing resources in.
resources, yeah. People, money, all those important things, because that's what we need. That's how you build power. All right. And so this was a question that's come up before, but for folks who are joining us for the first time or don't know, there's a question about where did the fine go? Has it been reinvested in the community? Has it been reparative? Is there a solution that the residents of Gloucester, Mississippi have asked for?
So in our work that we've been doing, again, it was to work with the community, to build the community, to give the power to the community. And so what I've been doing as the organizer out in the Gulf South, I've been basically doing a SWOT analysis of what it is that they have and how we can move in their community. So to Brandy's point, in this county, they previously had an NAACP, and the NAACP was no longer in existence. And so what we did was we have a partnership with the national NAACP. And so we had the national environmental climate justice chair, Kathy Eglin, with us when we went out. And that was one of the things that we talked about doing, funding them, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for 3 years, so that they can build that power with their own NAACP. So they can have the NAACP lawyers also look into this while we're supporting the community. So rendering those resources to that community in that capacity. We've been doing these calls where, the mayor didn't like us. And so, you know what, it's much bigger than you, mayor. Let's, take it to the street. And when we took it to the street, we took it to the streets on the World Wide Web. Here we are. And we're having these conversations, is continuing to talk to the people, continuing to educate them, continuing to work with them, because it's a lifelong relationship that you build with communities and individuals in those communities. And these people end up becoming part of your family. And for me, that is exactly what it is. Every time I go out, when Brandy can't go, hey, where's Brandy? I want to call Brandy. How Brandy doing? How Brandy mama doing? Finding out that Brandy's mom is sick and where you at, when you getting here. Like, it's a whole family atmosphere that we, build. And it takes a special kind of person to do this work, because if you're dedicated to this, there are going to be sleepless nights. There are going to be times where things get hard. There are going to be times where you take a loss and you still got to be able to bounce back from it. And there are going to be times where you can stand in your power and hold people accountable for the things that they're doing to individuals. And it's all out of love, because we love each other. So we're living on love and linking it together in the process. And that's why we're here doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, and I have something to add about that question, where the money go. We don't know where the money went, but it didn't get to the people. So y'all got to ask the mayor about that. But no, they didn't. No, the people in the community of Gloucester did not see any of those 2.5 mil, unfortunately. But good question.
And this is why we fight, Yeah, no, they didn't. They continue to receive all of the pollution, all of the harm, but they never received any of those fines in, I would say, reparations for what they've been, accumulating and being harmed and being impacted by.
Ms. Joyce has had her hand up, so I'm going to go ahead and let her ask her question. Ms. Joyce, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question if you'd like to do so.
As I was listening to you, Nika and Brandy, I was listening. I noticed that you didn't say anything about you all put together any committees or talk with the people to train them what different avenues that they could go for their health issues? And also, did you put together a street team and go door to door? Because that's in my strategic plan, to put together, interview the youth, to knock on doors and have them to do the questionnaire and the health issues that they have, and because they are not aware. And then think of all the older people who died without knowing why they got sick like that. That was a concern of mine, and that the families deserve restitution. And then some that have moved out of the area, their illnesses are long-term.
Mhm. Well, yes, ma'am, Ms. Joyce, we actually had people to volunteer. We actually had a street team. We had what most people call a steering committee. We work with community leaders to do the work. And again, we were there in servitude to them. And we spoke with them about something. They actually had a community survey about their health issues. We had people to support us in knocking doors. Everything that you're talking about, we did do. The only thing is we only have an hour, so I can't tell you everything that we did, just going over a couple of the highlights and how to do what we need to do. But yes, if you need, if you want something, I'm actually looking at part of a curriculum that I wrote that we have here at Dogwood. And if you need me to send it to you about organizing effective events, understanding government structure, holding the government accountable, any of that, I'm definitely willing to send it to you. But thank you for your question, Ms. Joyce. And good to see you.
Love it. So questions about policies. What kind of policies would you like to see being written to address these issues for communities? Because, you know, I find it a travesty that in this country, we consider certain communities as sacrifice zones. And so what kind of policies would you like to see be written to stop this kind of harm from happening?
I would definitely love to see policy criminalizing these big businesses where communities are suffering at their hands. And it doesn't even have to be like that. So all of this stuff that is going on as it relates to biomass and industrial logging, deforestation, and forest degradation, to Brandy's point, it's shipped overseas. So we don't even have anything to do with it. But what we do have something to do with is something very easy to understand. We breathe easier when the world is greener. So cutting down our trees is cutting our oxygen supply.
And I would like, I don't know how to really word this, but a piece of legislation that I'd like to see is whatever country, like UK, for instance, that when they are finding places to build these biomass facilities, that they have to follow the same guidelines that they have. So like if in the UK they would only allow this much pollution, then they can only allow that much pollution here, you know? And of course then it would make it unable to exist. But you know, just like that a country can't uphold certain standards or a corporation can't uphold certain standards of you know, environmental in their country and then be able to so I don't know how they would put that into law, but that would be cool.
Yeah, and our government, you know, from local to national, stop giving them subsidies to pollute because they're giving them the money. If these subsidies and incentives went away, these places would not be able to survive. We're giving them money to kill our people in these sacrifice zones. I'm sorry. And the South is the richest in resources as it relates to trees. However, it's the poorest in the nation when it comes to jobs and wealth and all of that stuff. So just understanding those components of it as well. And our government is giving them money to pollute us.
Wow. Well, we are almost at time, so I'm going to ask my last question for the night. This work can feel very heavy, because it's, you know, it is heavy work that we're all doing. So I want to ask you, where do you find hope? And where would you inspire others to find hope?
Brandy, you can go ahead.
Two places, in the babies and in the forest. So yeah, hope, of course. The children are the future and all that jazz, but because it's true. And I work with children, so they remind me, like, of course, I hope it'll be better for them. So working with them just reminds me to hold on to hope. And when I'm feeling like I'm losing hope, I go and do some forest bathing and breathe in the clean air and just remind myself that that's the same air I want everybody else to be able to. So that's where I get it from, the babies in the forest.
Yeah. I get it from, to Brandy's point, babies. I have a nephew, Jace. Jace is always with me. And since I started at Dogwood years ago in the forest circle, he has been there. And so building family around him. Miss Joyce is on here. She absolutely loves him. And that's where Brandy met him. And that's what has kept us connected through these years. And so to Brandy's point, the children, the families that I meet, the people that I meet in the process are like the Miss Camellas, like the Crystal Martins, like the Belinda Joiners, like the Michael Malcolms, Reverend Leos, and you know, all the people that we work with in their respective communities, the people who are down on the ground doing this work and believe that we can make a change in the communities that we're serving. And the Dr. Trevas, you know, all across the entire Southeast, the people who are leaning in to do this work, like our executive director, like she's been stretched in so many ways as far as like this racial justice thing and leaning into environmental justice communities. So people leaning in, coming together for a common cause and for the betterment and the greater good of humanity. That's what gives me hope.
Wow. Well, thank you both for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us. Thank you again to everybody who showed up tonight. I just want to remind you all, we're going to be doing this all month long. So if you haven't yet, visit our event page. It's dogwoodalliance.org/justiceinjune. And I will share that link again in just a second, but please keep showing up, keep fighting for your communities, keep up the hope, keep up the work, because this is so important. And you know, our future rests with us. And so I just want to leave it to you, Erniko and Brandy, in case you have any closing words. But other than that, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Only thing I got before we go, y'all, happy Pride. I forgot to say that I got my hat on, but happy Pride. Loving on all the love. Love will win.
Happy Pride.
Thank you so much. Here's again the link to join us for Justice in June all month long. So I hope to see more of you there throughout the month. And that is the conclusion for tonight. So thank you all. Have a great night. Be safe, and may tomorrow bring us more justice and more peace. Thank you.